guys, it's me, Kat, from Catalina's Classroom, and if you're on YouTube, welcome to my first video. This channel is going to be dedicated to all things holistic health, beauty, and remedies. We're going to be uncovering nutrition, herbs, traditional Chinese medicine, how I cleared my skin through diet, and mental health. It's going to be a huge array of things, so buckle in and get ready. For those of you who are here through YouTube, definitely check out my Instagram, linked down below. I have a lot of content there as well. And let's get started. So today's lesson is brought to you by Quarantine Wellness. It is the topic of 4 foods that are lowering your immune health. And I chose this topic because immune health is all anyone is talking about right now because of the whole crisis that's going on. And a lot of people are very scared, they're very confused, and it's really showing that nutrition and diet and the importance of what we eat is not something that's highlighted as health in Western society at all. So if you've been feeling nervous, if you've been feeling very on edge, if you're confused and you have no idea where to start, or if you're like tied for cash and you can't get all these fancy supplements and oils and tinctures, that's fine. I'm going to give you 4 things that you can minimize or cut out during this time that will for sure boost your immune health up, and you will even see different effects like clearer skin, heightened energy, less joint pain. I can tell you guys now that when I minimized, actually when I went on a cleanse and took all this stuff out of my diet, I have a reconstructed ACL, and I would notice that when I was eating one of the foods that I'm going to mention, like it would always, there was a lot of pain, like irritation, inflammation, like it was always making noises, it felt weird to walk on. And when I took that out, when I took that specific food out, there was no irritation at all, there was no inflammation, I could run on it, I felt good. And without having these 4 things in my diet for 2 weeks at a time, I completely cleared my skin. I get breakouts on my chest frequently, those were gone. I work with kids, and it's very easy to feel like very overwhelmed and frustrated, and I was noticing that I could think with a clearer head, and it was, my quality of life just shot up. So let's get into these 4 things that you can minimize that will bring your immune health up, and it will be of no cost to you. So let's get into it. I wanted to start this segment or this topic by giving you guys kind of like an overview of what's considered as health in or what the fundamentals of health are in traditional Chinese medicine. I might have missed a few points, but these are the basics. So in traditional Chinese medicine, they typically take into account your emotional well-being, your diet, the amount of bowel movements that you're having, the quality of your sleep, and also your sense of faith, spirituality, and community, as well as your exercise habits. That's what they look at to look at your overall health. So as you can see, it's a more holistic point of view, whereas in Western medicine, it's become a very isolated type of perspective, which can be good in some situations, but in prevention, it honestly isn't the most sustainable method. And when I say that, I mean, like, let's say you go to the dermatologist and you have moderate or severe acne that keeps reoccurring, and the dermatologist just simply writes you a prescription for doxycycline or benzoyl peroxide or retin A. That's a very isolated approach to the issue. See, acne is just a symptom of something else going on in your body. So a more holistic way of approaching that would be asking the person, or asking you, hey, do you exercise? What are you eating? Are you pooping once, twice a day? Like, what are your bowel movements? Like, has any emotional trauma occurred recently? Have you been taking any herbs? Or do you have a history of PCOS or endometriosis, anything hormonal? So as you can see, just writing a prescription for something like that is very isolated, and it completely ignores the root cause. Now, right now, it's very important that we're looking at our health as a more holistic type of thing rather than something isolated. And we have a lot of time. I know that it didn't come about in the most convenient way. There's been a lot of layoffs, a lot of people taking breaks from work or working from home, and I know that it can feel really stressful. And sometimes two emotions or like 5 million emotions can exist at once, so you might feel stressed because you're currently working from home or you're staying with parents, but in a way very happy because now you can hunker down and focus on your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, all of that. But just for this video, we're going to be focused on our diet and nutrition health. So, what are the 4 things that I'm minimizing to boost my immune health during this time? They are processed dairy, processed meats, refined carbs, and refined sugars. So, you might be asking yourself, why would I do that to myself? All of those things taste really good. I like those things. And I'm not saying that they don't taste good. I would be lying to you if I didn't say that Twinkies can be good sometimes. It's been mad long since I had a Twinkie though. But you know, just like things with sugar taste good. Like that's an undisputable fact. And you might also be asking yourself, why am I talking about diet when I'm talking about immune health? What are you trying to get at here? What I am trying to get at, bitch, is that your diet and what you eat is directly correlated to your immune health. And during researching for this video, I actually found out that 80% of our immune cells that our body needs and produces are produced in our mucosal membrane of our gut. So that means 80% of the cells that we need in order to fight off pathogens like bacteria and viruses, they exist in our gut. So whatever you're eating is having a direct correlation on how well your body can produce those cells. So with that being said, our gut is one of our first lines of defense when it comes to any type of icky bacteria trying to mess with us or whatever. So we have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria. So good bacteria helps our body out. It lives in our GI tract and it helps us digest food by producing enzymes and also helps us absorb nutrients. They also aid in developing the health of our immune system. Now, bad bacteria does the complete opposite. Bad bacteria does live in our GI tract, but it's known to cause gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, IBS, all of this, anything basically that's annoying and a pain to live with that you can think of has a correlation to do with the gut. Now, what also falls under bad bacteria that a lot of people don't know about are parasites. And if when I said parasites, you were like a tapeworm? Yes, like a tapeworm. So what people don't know is that 3.5 billion people in the world currently have intestinal worms and do not know about it. And a lot of the times, especially in Western society, we're told by like the CDC, you can literally look, because I saw, that parasites are a third world country, we have nothing to worry about, when indeed they are not. They are very, if not pretty common in all of the Western hemisphere, and these parasites can present themselves as tapeworms, as hookworms, pinworms, roundworms, liver flukes, all of that, and you can get tested for them. However, if you want to look more into that, I would say look into Organic Olivia if you're new to the whole like parasites and gut health thing. She has a bunch of videos about how she got tested for them, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, she had to go to like multiple doctors to get the results that she knew she had. So look into her. But parasites are a problem because the whole function of a parasite is to live off the host. And that means that if you have an overgrowth of parasites or bad bacteria, they are eating what you're eating first, and then you're getting the shit end of the stick, basically. And I know it sounds gross, but also like parasites defecate in us and everything. Like they live in us, so they pee, they poop, and they make babies in us. And it just so happens that dairy, meat, processed, refined carbs, and refined sugars are what feeds them and lets them reproduce and thrive in our bodies. So, when there is an overgrowth of bad bacteria and parasites and funguses, whatever is going on down there, it creates a weakened body. Now, with a weakened body comes a weakened immune system, and that means that when we're in that vulnerable state, it makes it easier for different bacteria, different pathogens to enter our body and kind of just do with it what it wants. So it leaves us in a very fragile place if we're not taking care of our gut. Thankfully though, we have tips for that in this video. Processed dairy, meat, refined sugar, and refined carbs on a consistent basis. Consistent is the key word here. They really lower your body's ability to protect itself, and it gives pathogens the opportunity to basically make your body a wonderland. It also inhibits the growth of your good bacteria, which is what we need to be flourishing. The truth is, we're always going to have bad bacteria, but it becomes a problem when there's an overgrowth. So when the bad bacteria is up here and the growth of the good bacteria is down here. See? So how does that happen? How does it hurt our bodies? How do these things have this type of effect? As I was doing my research for animal products, now I don't personally believe that all animal products are bad. I'm not that type of person that's like, I'm not a vegan or anything like that. It is the quality of the animal product that you're consuming. So if you're consuming very cheap antibiotic, growth hormone, beef, chicken, cheese, milk, nothing that's free range or grass fed or hormone free, you're going to experience adverse effects to these foods. So mainstream processed cuts of meats, like the type you find in the deli or the pre-packed cuts, are often shot up with antibiotics and growth hormones. The reason that they do this to the animals is that it speeds up the growth process of the animal, making it age faster. That way it makes its way to getting slaughtered faster, and in turn is turned into food. Now, the problem for this in both dairy and in meats and even eggs, the problem with this is that antibiotics, when we consume them, is that they don't know the difference between bad bacteria or good bacteria. Antibiotics wipe out all bacteria. Now, in the short term, this is a good solution, seemingly so, because it means that all the bad bacteria is obliterated, so you might feel better for a short amount of time. But the problem is that it also got rid of the bad bacteria. Now, if someone doesn't understand the role that diet plays in the immune health and in the immune system, and if you continue eating, like I said, breads, sugars, dairy, and meat on a consistent basis, and you're not doing anything to help the growth of your good bacteria, then the ratio of good bacteria to bad bacteria is going to be like this, and that creates a problem for our immune health. It's putting it in a very vulnerable, very unsafe terrain. Now, for sugar and processed breads, or refined sugar and refined breads, they are what candida, a fungus, and what parasites like to feed on. So what candida is an overgrowth of yeast. So we all have a certain amount, like bad bacteria, we all have a certain amount of that in our bodies. Like, it needs to coexist. But it becomes a problem when it's an overgrowth, and an overgrowth of candida or anything like that happens, like a parasite or any type of other fungus happens when we eat too much sugar and too much carbs. So Candida often shows up in someone's gut as oral thrush when there's a white coating on your tongue, or as yeast infections in women. I don't remember if mine can get yeast infections. I think there's a different name for it. So I actually did a video on how to combat candida, oral thrush at least. If you're experiencing like mild symptoms with oil pulling with coconut oil, I'll link that down below. It's on my IGTV, so you guys can check it out. I get into how oil pulling works and everything like that. Now, candida is part of the bad bacteria gang, and it can often result in inflammation, fatigue, brain fog, acne, eczema, psoriasis. Acne is a big one, a big one. And I believe that there's a certain type of acne called Meleza folliculitis, something like that, where it's like under the skin acne, but it's not, there isn't like a head, but it's very textured. Like it kind of looks like a crunch bar on almost. And I used to get that all the time, and I noticed when I stopped eating bread, refined bread and refined sugars, I saw an improvement in my skin texture with that. So anyways, when a fungus like this outweighs the good guys in your gut, it lowers your body's ability to properly digest food and absorb nutrients from what you're eating. And like I keep saying, when our body is in this very tired state of bad bacteria, it lowers our immune health, and it makes us more susceptible to these viruses and these pathogens because we've made ourselves a weak host. So by cutting these 4 things out of your diet, or maybe not so much cutting, but if you have a meal with pasta at lunch, then at dinner consider like a soup or a curry, or maybe like a chili or something. And if you want something that kind of feels like a carb, supplement or substitute quinoa for rice. Things like meat and dairy, I know that times are very kind of tight right now for some people, so if you can afford it, try to get grass-fed. If you like fish, wild-caught, never farmed, antibiotic-free, hormone-free, all of that. Try to look into options like that, where I believe Trader Joe's has a lot of those options. You don't have to go to Whole Foods. And also, you can, if you have a local butcher, you can ask them about their cuts of meat and if they know if they're shot up with antibiotics or not. And I know some people might not like to hear this, but times are, and for a lot of people, they're a little tight right now. Now's the perfect time to start eating more vegetables, because produce is one of the cheaper options out there. If you can, I want you to show me somewhere where 3 pounds of like freaking apples is going to be more expensive than 3 pounds of meat. I doubt you can show me a place like that. And honestly, like, you have a lot of time, we all have a lot of time to experiment with different recipes and stuff. It's a good time to get into the kitchen, and if you have kids, let them help you, teach them about what vegetables do what fruits do what. It's a beautiful time for bonding, and it's a beautiful time for healing. Also, enhancing things like turmeric, garlic, ginger, coconut oil, cooking with that, or doing oil pulling, enhancing those types of things in your diet is also what's going to help restore those good bacteria in your gut. This is a lot of information. My next video, guys, is going to be on what I am eating, and I'm thinking about like breaking down the science of what each vegetable or fruit or herb that I'm eating or ingesting does for my body and what it would do for your body. If you guys want to hear more about something that I covered in here and didn't go over extensively, then please comment below. You can follow me on Instagram and DM me any ideas, comment on my photos. I would love to hear back from you guys. I make stuff for you guys, so if there are any stories or experiences or tips that I can share to help you, I would be honored. So I hope you guys guys enjoyed this. I hope that everything was explained in a way that was easy to ingest and easy to digest. Get it? Because we're talking about digestion this whole time. And I will link all the sources that I use down below so you guys can see for yourself, read for yourself, take the information as you want to, because you might not resonate it with the same way that I did. And as a disclosure and as a closure to this video, always listen to your own intuition when it comes to your body. If you feel like the best route for you right now is to just be completely plant-based, then do that. If you feel like for you right now is to keep... So my video cut off, but guys, use your intuition, please. If you're feeling called to be 100% plant-based, then do that. If you're feeling called to keep some animal products in, then do that. I'm just presenting you with what I've learned and with what I've experienced in my own health journey, and I found that getting as close to the source as possible, meaning as less processed as you can get, go there, because that's where health is. Getting closer to nature, that's where health is. And I hope this helped. If it didn't, then that's okay too. But like I said, trust yourselves, make decisions for you, not for anyone else, not to appease me or any other freaking person out there on YouTube or the internet. No one. Make decisions for you and for your health and what makes you feel good. So, and we're out. We're done. I have to edit this. Oh. Alright, time for some tea.